Good morning. How are you? Or good evening, good afternoon. Okay, so for some reason I still can't get my chat window up. And now YouTube has changed the interaction of me with my stream window. So I can't tell if you're chatting yet. So bear with me, especially if you're new here, because I feel like we might have a few new folks today because we're drafting the bodice. And I'm staring at me. This isn't my usual setup either, kind of. So let me just figure it out. I sew really well, but managing like streams and videos and stuff, that's a little different. So let me see here. I want to be able to see the chat, you know? There we go. I see your chat now. Megan, no worries. Yeah, that did come out really cute, that little dress. All right, I need to not see myself. Yay, Rachel, welcome. Hi, Louise. Hi, Malin. Hi, Zaskia. Welcome. Oh my gosh, you guys are cold. I mean, yeah. I'm wearing a knitted sweater as a top today. But it's not that cold here. So let me know you can see me and hear me and everything looks good. I'm pretty excited about doing this, but I am pretty nervous as well, just because I've never taught how to draft a bodice. I know how to do it. It's not something you do a lot as a pattern drafter, contrary to probably what most people think. So it's not cold there at all. Awesome. Thank you, Terry. Thank you. Hi, Lynn. Hi, Beverly. Wow, Beverly, you're Puerto Vallarta? Wow. Good for you. If you're still tuning in, thanks. That's awesome. Hi, Elaine. How's it going? It's really good to see you all. So a few things I don't want to forget. If you are wanting to draft your basic bodice, and I'm going to explain a little about what that is. Oh, did they help you, Terry? That's awesome. You can go to my website, which, let me see if I can just link it here in the chat. So just give me a second here. I have to get the keyboard too. My website is soso.live. And if you go to the videos and garments tabs and then all the way down to how-to videos, there will be one. Let's see, it's 1, 2, 3. It's in the third row called How to Draft Your Bodice Sloper / Block. And in the description, there is a link to a document called My Measurements. And I would also read through that. And that is what you will be following today. It looks like this. So it looks like this. It's 3 pages long. It has a nice wordy intro, and then a front page and a back page, meaning front of your body, back of your body, okay? And then if you are a Patreon subscriber, I also linked it just before I went live on the Patreon page, as well as a document that's going to walk you through how to draft your bodice, what we're going to be doing tomorrow, starting tomorrow. So if you look at it now, you might go, ugh, that looks like a jumble of steps. So just don't look at it yet. And if you are following along with the video, I'm gonna go over every step, but having that printout is gonna be really beneficial. And all the Patreon subscribers are gonna get that. So it is a kind of a subtle hint. If you wanna subscribe, you can get that document. So, and that is linked in the video description. So I'm getting better at plugging myself, you guys, aren't I? So, anyway, so let's talk about what a bodice block sloper is. I'm probably going to call it interchangeably block or sloper. Sloper is such a nice fancy word. I really love it, but I feel like it must be an East Coast, West Coast thing because I always say block. And I use the word sloper more frequently in all of the documentation. So basically your basic block is going to be you as a dress form. So it's going to be this fitted part of the fabric, you, as a flat pattern. And then you can manipulate that flat pattern into whatever you want. Now, there's probably going to be that one person that's like, but you can't make this with that. And I would be kind of surprised if there's not something you can't. I mean, you can't draft pants or a skirt from it. Yeah. And we're not doing the block for a pants or skirt right now. Let me get my teaching pattern drafting legs under me first. But you guys are still here, right? Or you guys just raptly listening to me? You guys are so attentive. I love it. Because there's just like nothing. I'm just like, why is my windows all wrong now? Like, even if you were to say, oh, you can't do a kimono from it, that's wrong. You use a basic block to draft a kimono block. So you use your basic block to draft everything. Now, okay, awesome, Megan. Thank you. You guys know I need reassurance occasionally. Okay, great. Thanks, Louise. And I'm, if you're watching on Twitch, I'm sorry, oh, hi, Olivia. Olivia's on Twitch. Awesome. I'll try and flip between the two windows because, like I said, my chat window, my unified chat window is not functioning lately, and I must need to do something. So now that I know it hasn't functioned twice in a row, I'll go and check it out after the stream. So the thing about your block is I don't want any of you walking away from this process expecting a garment you're going to wear out into the world, because I wouldn't wear that, right? I mean, So basically, and I also don't want you to say, but I don't want my armhole right there. I don't want you to worry about any of that at all. Like, at all. I want you to trust in the process. Don't add what you think you might need or take away what, like subtract it from a measurement because you're like, oh, but I don't really like my things to fit that way. Hi, Heather. I don't want you to do that at all. I really want you to do the measurements properly, and we're going to talk about that in a second. I want you to trust in the process, because all of those little things like your preferences and things like that, that gets sorted out when you start drafting patterns from your block. This is just your guide, like, okay, I know that's my body, right? So sometimes I have owned my own basic block for myself, and what I like to do is I do build in a couple of things in there that are just standard. I always like it that way. And once you kind of get the feeling for that, you can do that. I know, right, Heather? We are too. To other people, Heather, we're in exotic locales too. So it's hard to kind of separate what a basic block is from a pattern you like wear out into the world. But I just want you to remember, this is a dress form version of you as a flat pattern. Okay, so that's what I just want you to take away from this. And I just want to underscore also that the drafting a block in general and the steps we're going to use is a commercial way to do it. There is a couple of things we're going to do that tailors it for a personal custom block. But you could use these steps to draft a block for a company. This is exactly what you would be doing. So when you first finish your block and you sew it up, you're going to be like, oh, I don't like the way this fits. Of course you don't. You're not going to wear this out. I mean, it would be like wearing a yucky looking evening gown bodice out, right? So don't think of it that way. So remember, you're trusting in this whole process, and you're going to relax about, no one's going to see you in this, this is just your bodice, right? So just remember those things, and try and be as consistent as possible. You may need help with a couple of your measurements, especially as far as getting things parallel and things like that. So, hi Ikeo, welcome. California is very exotic. It's not feeling very exotic lately. Fire country is not as exotic as it once was, right? So let me think, what other things? I'm trying to make this as user-friendly as possible as well. I don't really feel like you need to have any fancy tools. For the measuring, you're going to need a measuring tape. And yeah, right, Megan? Exactly. You're going to need a measuring tape and your printout here. I know you probably can't see that on the screen. Don't worry, I'll accommodate that. You're gonna need what I would recommend is wearing a really tight fitting garment and then marking on that garment the places we're gonna be measuring before you measure them, because you will come back to them at some times, because you might doubt one of your measurements and want to go back and look at it. Being consistent is so key. I can't stress that enough, because you don't have this nice little static body who, you know, isn't going to breathe, isn't going to scratch their nose, isn't going to move around, isn't gushy, you know? Like, this little thing is you know, pretty petite, right? So she's seen her fair share of days. Someone gave me to her. Her name's Stella. Putting the printout somewhere. What do you mean, Heather? The measurements one is, did I not just link it? I didn't link it. Here we go. I got that link for you guys and then I didn't put it in the thing. So here's the link to the, let me see if I can put it on Twitch. Let me see, Olivia. I think I can put a link in the chat on Twitch. There you go. So that is a link to the project on my website, and in there, the description, there is a document called My Measurements, and so you just need to print that out. It's 3 pages long if you want to follow along. And then if you want a print version of what we're doing tomorrow and Saturday, that is on Patreon. So all the Patreon subscribers are going to get that. And even if you subscribe 2 weeks from now, it'll still be on there. Like, that's how Patreon works. All the past content you get access to. So it's fine. Let's see. What else do I want to not forget? So I have a few things here. I have like some waxed. I just looked through what I have here. Washi tape, twine, ribbon, satin cord, elastic. Whatever you want to do. Scotch tape. You can tape right onto the body, you know, like this. Washi tape is great, you guys. Washi tape is really great. It's so easy, you know, if you don't want to use your Scotch tape. Although washi tape is probably more expensive. And then you can, you know, draw on the dress form exactly where, you know, you would like to be, you know, marking. I'm going to use Scotch tape because it's more visible for you guys. And, you know, we're going to get some of these key points. Because I'm sure you don't want to really go to a friend and do this line in particular, right? So we'll do it as best we can. But this is what I'm talking about. Like, put some tape on your body and draw these places before you measure them, okay? So the first one we're going to do, and there is some abbreviations like center front, I usually write as CF, center back, CB. High point at shoulder is something that is a very common term, and it's usually listed as HPS. And the high point at shoulder is just the juncture of your neck to the shoulder. Now this little area here is a little tricky to determine, like where your neck ends and your body begins. Yeah, you could, Megan, exactly. You can pin on your garment. Just like I said, the trickiest spots are going to be your armhole, really. The armhole is the trickiest one, but you know, you're also going to refine that in the flat pattern thing. Just try and get it as close as possible, because the armhole is so pivotal to things fitting really well, right? Awesome, Malen. Yeah. Shouldn't have to bribe them. Maybe they'll get their own block one day, right? Right, Malen? That's funny. Yeah, so yeah, what I would just recommend, I mean, if you have a really close fitting garment that you're like, yeah, I don't really fit that anymore, and I've been meaning to get rid of it, but maybe I'll fit it one day. Maybe it gives its life to this process today, where, you know, you wear that bodysuit and you mark with a Sharpie directly on it, okay? And if you're uncertain of like where certain lines should be, maybe try on a few garments and see where the side seam is and the sleeve or the shoulder seam is, and just see where it is consistently, and if you like where it's at. Like a lot of shirts, I notice the shoulder seam is towards the back of the body, and that's not correct. I don't know why it's like that. I don't know how that got started. I'm sure it's some sort of machine process thing, or how they tubular knit the fabric. Like, it could be something as obscure or as abstract as that. So, but you get to pick where you want it. So, and you know, when your seam is towards the back, it makes it look like your garment's doing this, right? So, you know, there's certain little subtle things you kind of want to get right. So, all right, let's dive in, because we have the front and the back we're going to do today. So I'm going to take my highlighter and I'm going to highlight the spot when I'm done, and I'll hold it up to the camera and you can see. And I'm also going to tick it off so that I don't get confused, because talking with the camera, reading this, doing that, all this at once, I want to make sure I'm as simple as possible, because you know how sometimes you replace a word with thing. That's not very it's not very informative, is it? So I'm trying to be better about talking correctly. So all right, so the first measure we're going to do is number 1, and on this piece of paper here, now you can always, you know, look at your paper and see this is number 1, right? And so it says, I'm sorry, that's the back. I knew I needed to get the back out of the way because I didn't want to do that. All right, so I have this nice big one. So number 1 is this one right here. It's actually the same on the back, but a little different, because typically you have a bust on the front and it may increase this number. So straight down from the high point of your shoulder to your waistline. Now, your waistline isn't where you like your jeans to sit. Okay, I mean, if you are very consistently like, I want my waist to be the narrowest spot on my body, or that is where my pants sit, that's fine. As long as you're always consistent that that's what you've decided. Okay, so if, you know, it's like for me, like my basic bodice block, if I pulled it out and showed you, the block would actually go probably 2 inches below the hip. And that means I had to put my darts in and then flare out my dart to the hip line. But I know that that's I know that about my block, right? So ours isn't going to do that. It's going to end at the waistline, all right? So your first measurement, I'll just mark it with some tape, is this juncture. And we're going to go straight down parallel to the center front. So you have to decide where your neckline is and where your shoulder seam is, kind of right off the bat. But you just really want to get that the highest point where your shoulder hits the neck. Just kind of put your finger there, feel what feels really good. Now remember, you have a garment on and you're marking that dot on your body as well, because you need that dot again later on. You can't just take this measurement and not think you're going to come back to it. That's why I'm saying, like, it's really good to draw right on your garment and see. And so I'm gonna see if I can do this. So I'm also kind of trying to keep this perpendicular to the ground, right? Because we don't have our center front line quite yet. So it's kind of straight down here. And then here's the waist. I always like going to the bottom of the tape on the dress form right there. And then here's my tape measure. We'll measure straight down. And I get 16 and 1/16 of an inch. And yes, I am writing down the 16th of an inch. I can decide later if I don't want it. But sorry, I don't know my millimeters. Oh, that's one of my questions for you guys. Hi Brooke. Good to see you. For all of you guys that use centimeters and not imperial, that use metric, if I say I want to convert my measurements in my document to millimeters or centimeters and inches, if it's below an inch, like say, do I use millimeters when it's like a few centimeters? You know what I mean? Like when I'm down here. If I'm under an inch, am I saying millimeters? Is that how it goes? So like 3/8 of an inch, I'm going to say the millimeters version, right? I just want to make sure I'm saying it properly. Just let me know if some of you, some of the patrons get that document and look at it, and let me know if I did that right. Teach me. All right, so now we have our first measurement. I'm going to tick it off here, and then I'm going to highlight it. So this is what I just did. Okay, number 1. That was number 1 right there. All right, number 2, across shoulder. And I do this across the back. I know that this is the front, but the across back is still, this is the best way to do it. So you're gonna find your shoulder point here. We'll mark this with the tape again. And if you're using a dress form, like say you're one of the lucky people that has a dress form of you, you're not going to the plate, you're gonna go to the ridge of the shoulder line. Okay. Kathleen, it might for some people, but it might not for others. It's just going to go straight down. You just really need that front length. For those of you on Twitch, Kathleen asked, so the tape measure doesn't go over the fullest part of the bust. It might for some folks. So just remember that some of these measurements may look different on you than they do on my paper. Okay, don't write anything less than whole millimeters. Thank you, Malin. That makes sense. Okay, you do all centimeters all the way, but get down to, okay. Oh, and it's a comma. Okay. I may have done that wrong. I think I put a point. Okay, Malin. All right. Maybe I'll hopefully one of you will see that document and let me know how I did on those. I'm sorry, I'm a noob at certain things. And hopefully I got all the measurements. I did kind of get to that point where I was like, just freaking upload it, Sarami. There's going to be things you're going to want to dink around on this for forever. All right, so I'm just establishing where my outer shoulder point is, right? So on my body, see, here's my sleeve seam. I'm not going to go by that. I'm going to kind of go by, I think, right here on me. So it's like the highest point. Like, it's definitely bony. Okay, Mullen, thanks. Okay, great, Louise. Yeah, and they use commas. All right. Yeah, let me know what you think. All right, so now we're going to do the across shoulder. So go all the way across, because you don't have a center line on your back, right? Not yet. So mine says 14 inches. And it's actually not coming all the way. I'm just going to do it as straight across as possible. I'm going to do 14 inches. And this is best illustrated on the back page. That's this one right here. It's the only one you're gonna, I think, have to flip back and forth between. Yeah, right, Malin. I can. So I'm going to pick this point that's kind of right here. It's like a bone right there. This may not be where you want your sleeve to sit, but we're gonna work on that. So don't worry about it, right? You're just being consistent right now. So on me, you know, this is my sleeve seam, but right here is where I'm gonna say my cross shoulder is. I really like it to not start sloping off. I want it to be the highest point, best you can. So do your best with that one. All right, so I'm gonna tick off number 2. I'm finding that this is gonna be really helpful for me later on, especially when we start doing the draft, because once you see what we're gonna do there, especially if you have the paper thing, it'll be really nice to check it off, okay? All right, so the center front length. Now, one of the things that you're gonna wanna do is you can take a ribbon. You're gonna want to find where your neck is, right? So where the juncture of the neck to your body is. So let's see. I have never wanted to use this stuff anyway. So let's see, I'm gonna just tie this little string here. I'm gonna kind of keep it loose for now. Let's see. I'm gonna say right about there. This is kind of where you want, you know, your collar, you don't want your collar going past this point, all right? So find your little spot. You can keep it as a little ribbon around your neck, tie it so that it won't come untied, and just leave it there. And then this would also be where your high point of shoulder is going to start. So we probably could have done this before first step, right? But we're just gonna figure this out as we go. So find your neck area. And if you want, you can use a piece of ribbon or twine, string, yarn, and you can tape it. The tape you're gonna have to kind of fold as it goes around your neck. Yeah, so the base of your neck and your collarbone. If you wanna just go by your collarbone, that's fine. Just make sure you draw on your garment or your body where you're measuring, okay? So that you know if you need to go back to that spot, you don't add 1/4 of an inch by accident, you know, because that's not much. And it's really easy when you're moving around, measuring yourself, all right? So that's the center front length to the waist. And remember, your waist as well, you can take a ribbon and tie it around your waist where you would like. Like for me, I would probably, I might choose where my jeans are sitting, but that is not the narrowest point on my body. The narrowest point on my body is way up here. I'm pretty high-waisted. And, you know, as I get older and I get, you know, softer and fuller, that little narrow spot's getting higher and higher, right? So this is where you might want to choose, you know, where you want to keep your natural waist, but you want it to be consistent with where your high pointed shoulder is to your waist. So, you know, on here, you know, it's this little spot right there. You can pin on your garment as well. You don't have to use tape. You could pin on there. That would be good. All right, so I'm just gonna give you a chance to catch up there. Find your spots here. We're kind of figuring out what these spots are as we go. I probably could have at least told you all these, but you know, it's good to know where they're going to be and how they relate to the measurement that you're taking. So now you're going to measure your waist, or your center front neck to waist. So here's my neck, collar, juncture here. So find the lowest point, which is like your center, and your waist, and your neck. You can go straight down. 13 5/8 for me, or for Stella. All right, so that is this one here. All right. Let me do it on the big one too, so I stay very consistent. Okay. So far we have these two measurements and we have our cross shoulder from the back. Okay. All right. Outer shoulder to center front waist. All right, so now you're gonna find your shoulder slope angle. So now you're gonna need your center front waist. So now let's decide where the center front is. We've already established where we measured the center front waist, center front neck to waist right here. So these are 2 points that we've established, right? Like I say, you're referring back to these points. That's why you want to mark them on the body so you can use them again. We've already marked this spot too. Now you're going to measure from this outer shoulder point down to the center front waist there. You're going to try and keep your tape measure as straight as possible. The bust is probably going to fight you a little bit. Do your best there. So I'm getting 15 5/8 from me. this one. And this one right here. So we just did this diagonal one right here. So your outer shoulder to your center front waist. It just depends on where your navel is. My navel is right here, so if that's below my natural waist, Megan. So you could, if that's where you're measuring your waist. Just depends. It's up to you. You just need to be consistent. So just remember, wherever you decided this was and this was, you're coming back to these because they start building off of each other to form the body. This will be more apparent when you're drafting the block because it is kind of interesting how you form the armhole based on the measurements we're going to take or the neckline area. You know what I mean? So it's just one of those things. Like I said, I can't stress the being consistent enough and just marking these places on your body. Now, we're doing the front and the back all at once, mainly because you don't want to have to like try and find these measurements again to do the back later on. So it's good to kind of sit and do this all the way through. The measurements are pretty explanatory if you're not like sitting here in front of the video. If you maybe watch the video or maybe just watch it for certain ones, you're like, I don't know what that is, you know, then you might not be so feeling like this is a 3-hour long process, you know? So, all right. So number 5 is your shoulder length. So it's just literally this length right here from that high point at shoulder to where you marked as your outer shoulder. And we already have those 2 points. So we're going to measure the length. Mine's 4 7/8. I do not shy away from fractions. They are just a number, so don't be scared by them. This one. This is number 5. And it's this one right here. Okay. We got our serious faces on today. All right. Tell me if I'm going too slow or too fast. Just let me know. Because some of you might be following along. I know you might want to just watch this through and do it later. I totally understand that. So, you know, it's just a personal preference. I know if it were me, I would probably be like, I think I have to watch this through and then do it later. But I'd be so eager to want to follow along as well. So, especially because if you might have a question, it's nice to follow along so you can ask a question. Awesome, Terry, thanks. All right, so the armhole depth, number 6. Outer shoulder to the bottom of the armhole straight down. Now, this one is a little weird because finding this armhole circumference, we're not going to be transferring this curve to the bodice draft from these measurements. So you don't have to really worry about that. But you just need to know where the bottom of the armhole is. Now, like I said early on, don't mistake this spot where your arm, you know, the armhole, like bottom of my arm is. Don't mistake that spot to where as that's where the sleeve's gonna fit, okay? Because the, okay, great guys. Okay, so I don't want you to think, oh, I can't have an armhole that high. Don't worry about that, all right? You just need it because this is your dress form, okay? So find this spot on you. If you would like to, you know, tape around your arm and then draw where your armhole is, great. And if you want to pin it or mark it however you want, you can. But really what you need, because this gal, she doesn't have an arm in the way, right? So it's really easy to mark the armhole depth. I could just go straight down, right? But that's kind of cheating. So if it were me, I would find this armhole depth and try and draw like a straight line across my body that's as parallel to the floor as possible. So, so that way you can kind of just measure straight down from your outer shoulder point to where the armhole depth is. Kind of more like a right angle, like this, you know? So you're going from here to here, this point here. So the outer shoulder to the bottom of the armhole, straight down. So if this were a person standing in front of me, I would say, let's see, let's figure out where we think that armhole depth is. I'll just kind of do that. It's kind of at the top of this tape. I don't want to draw on the dress form. Somewhere there. It's pretty shallow. I get about 5 1/4. This is an awkward measurement no matter what. All right, you guys? I get it. I really do. And this is one of the areas we're probably going to spend a lot of time talking about, because once we get to past the point of drafting our block and then drafting our sleeve, we're probably going to spend a lot of time talking about it, like what your issues are, what your goals are with this area, because I am such a big advocate of getting your set-in sleeve block to fit really well and to hang really well and to feel really good, and then everything, the world's your oyster once you get there, so it's worth spending the time on. Now, you can drape your bodice on a dress form, right? You can drape you can do this whole method by draping. It's a completely different method, but you can do that. But you can't really do that on yourself. So, yeah, exactly, Louise. A straight line down. So let's see. Do we even have 5 written? Or number 6, right? Yeah, so on here, you know, you could... Yeah, so let me see. Let me highlight this for you. So this is number 6. Now you're not going to measure from your shoulder on your arm, all right? I'm just showing you this squared straight out from the shoulder and squared straight out from the armhole, what this depth is. But the way I just measured it was straight down like this, like right here. This is a tricky one. So I just did that. I made a line where my armhole depth is. Even this tape measure is a little wide. I love it when I get the same measurement twice. No amount of expertise can take away that joy. As Rayanne and I used to say, measure 5 times, then measure twice more. Or count. It was really counting when we would count things. Because we would count things and then we'd be like, okay, we need 56. We need 112. We do that. It wasn't enough, you know. So, all right. So that was number 6. Number 7, your bust depth, which is your shoulder tip to the bust point. So now this is not your nipple. This is the fullest part of your bust, which is also called the apex. So this fullest part right here. And on this dress form, they make it really obvious. Someone even drew on here. They embellished, let's just say. It's probably not very obvious to you guys. Oh, thank you. So here you go, right here. It's going to be helpful to have your apex on both sides when we do a measurement in a second. So find your fullest part of your bust. Fullest part. Okay, put a pin there, make sure you know what part of the pin is the fullest spot, and then you're going to measure straight down from this outer shoulder point to the apex. I'm getting 8 1/4. Let me show you what that is. I kind of ran out of room on my draft over here. So this is a high pointed shoulder, or not high pointed shoulder, I'm really sorry. Outer shoulder to the apex, fullest spot, all right? Now you're going to figure out the distance between both apexes. I know this is pretty intimate measuring. Just think of it as the body. So if you're doing this on someone else, I know it can get a little bit, you know, intimate. It's just a measurement. Have them, if you want, have them tape there and mark there and decide and measure if you like and just guide it, okay? So you're going to measure from the fullest point from on left and right between the two. You're going to find that amount. Don't write that amount down yet. So let's find this amount here. And mine is 7 inches. You're going to write down half that amount. Okay, so mine's 3.5. You only need half because when you're drafting your block, you only deal with one side of the body, and it's always the right side and the right back and the right front. Always, always. It's just standard. That's why you guys see me kind of get flustered when I see them put a right front and a left back on the pattern. And that's just because, like, when you look at the bodice here, this is the right front, and this is the left back right here. And I think it's because we think of this always being on this side of the body, and so then they accidentally will include this one. It's just kind of a weird, quirky thing you do without thinking sometimes. So, all right, so the bust span was the difference or distance between both apexes here to here, right here. Okay, and then you write down half that amount. And that is number 8. All right, we're at number 9. Center front to side seam over the apex. So now you need to establish where your side seam is. And remember, where you marked your armhole depth is that line right there is the top of your side seam. Now you just need to decide front to back where that side seam is. Now the side seam in general is fairly perpendicular to the floor. But the bottom here usually cants a little towards the front. So it's kind of tilted that way a little bit. But yeah, most of your side seams right there. And this is a really important spot. Don't underestimate it, because when you're dealing with your dart manipulation and full bust adjustments and things like that, you definitely want this to be in the right spot, because kind of like, especially on fitted garments, if it's not in the right spot, something will look weird to you and you can't figure it out. It's also really, really key for your sleeve to be well balanced, and having that underarm, the side seam right here, being in the right spot, which is, you know, straight up from that shoulder seam, that shoulder point. This is a good guide, kind of staying consistent with this outer shoulder point to your armhole. Because remember, your sleeve is almost identical on the front half and the back half, except that you kind of cant it a little towards the front. Hi, Pamela. Welcome. I'm glad you're here. I can't see how many viewers we have today. Oh my goodness, you guys are all talking over there in Twitch. Hi, H. Dot. How's it going? Sorry, I'm having a trouble with my chat window. Hi, Ida. Ida's over on Twitch as well. Yeah, sorry, I'm having trouble with my unified chat. I'll figure it out, I promise. I feel like I just need to, like, download an app or something. I don't know. It says 37. Oh, thanks, Megan. Awesome. Well, welcome, everybody. My name's Saramy, by the way. Just FYI. All right, so this side seam, you need this spot right here. So we're on number 9, so the bust arc. All right, so you just need to kind of know where this side seam is going to be. You know where your waist is, right? Because you have this line here going. You know where your armhole depth is. You're going to kind of need this right now. So make sure you mark where your side seam is. I feel most shirts actually are pretty good about this. I'm just drawing on mine so you can see it. My wiggly line there. Okay. All right, so now you're going to measure from your center front line here. I never really taped that, so we can tape that so it's very visual. I can't even see the seam. It's so well worn. This is really awkward. Okay, so super awkward. Hi, Nancy. How's it going? All right, so we're going to measure from this center point where that bust span is over the bust to the side seam. You're going to try and get this as straight and level as possible, parallel to the floor. All right, and this is number 9. All right, so straight across to the side seam, and I get about, I'm gonna say 8 3/4. And then I write here to add 1/4 of an inch. So that makes it 9. All right, and so I illustrate this one as kind of a curve on the paper. It's really just so I don't interfere with this bust span measurement right here. So this is it's this curve right here. It's not really a curved line. I just wanted to stay away from this line that I drew here, but you're going from the center point to your side seam. Okay, and this is number 9, the bust arc. All right, now you committed to your side seam in the last step, and now you need to find the length of it. So go from your armhole depth down to the waist. And mine is 8 3/8. This is number 10. This is one of those that I marked over on the left side of the body because I was running out of space over here. So it's right here. Armhole depth, straight down to the waist. All right. That's number 10. All right, number 11, dart placement. All right, so this is another one of those wishy-washy areas on where you think your dart is. The dress form is super convenient as there is a princess line right here. The princess line goes always over the fullest part of the bust, and it's usually midway on the shoulder and kind of midway on the waist, but it's more towards the center front because see, this is much wider than this is right here. But it just depends on the body and the person because I have seen this in the middle and I've seen it further to the left, further to the right. So it's just, there's no right place. It's this fullest part, straight down from this fullest part of the body towards your center front. So when you do this, take this line, I mean, you could do this. Hang your tape straight down like this, all right? Now on the dress form, this right here, let me draw it on there. So we're gonna do some magic here, kind of. All right, so this is my princess line. I have drawn in some really awkward spots, but today's are kind of weird. All right, so this is the princess line. Now, the princess line on a dress form isn't the same as a garment because you back the princess line off of the bust by about 3/4 of an inch. Putting that seam directly over the bust is weird. So you will know it when you see it when it's in the wrong place. It doesn't go directly over the fullest part of the bust. It goes 3/4 of an inch away. There's just something weird about it, and it looks weird, and all of us think it looks weird. So it's just one of those things. You will see it in couture, you will see it in some avant-garde things, but in general, everyday clothing, your princess seam 3/4 of an inch off from the fullest part, not on the dress form. The dress form isn't illustrating that. It's illustrating where these fullest parts are and how it had to piece together to get it on here, right? So if you hang your tape measure straight down and you find this mark on the waist. Wait, is that what I'm doing? Wait. Oh, that's interesting. You know what? I actually have an easier way to do this, and I wrote it down on this thing. I was gonna tell you to find this spot and then move it 3/4 of an inch away. There's an easier way that we do it, and you just take half your bust span here, this whole amount right here, take this a measurement from number 8 and subtract 3/4 of an inch from that. That is your dart placement. So mine will be 2 3/4. So sorry about that. So number 11 is this measurement here minus 3/4 of an inch. And that amount is this right here. So let's see, mine would be 2 3/4. This one says 2 1/2. So this one's more like an inch. If you like, you can adjust this. And this is one of the things I'm saying about when we sew our bodice and we try it on, getting that dart in the right spot is pretty key, because once you have your dart in the right spot on your waist and it going up to your bust, it just makes everything so easy when you manipulate your pattern into princess seams. If you want to, you know, pivot that dart into the armhole or the side seam or into the shoulder, or split the dart in half and put half in the armhole, half in the waist, you do want to get this spot right. And there's just something about it when you see it, you're like, that's the right spot. You don't understand, Louise? Which part? So for this measurement here, for number 11, the dart placement, you're going to take your bust span measurement from number 8. Mine was 3 1/2 inches because this is the bust span, 7 inches from here to here. But we only needed half of it for number 8, so mine's 3 1/2 inches. If I go straight down, I subtract 3/4 of an inch. It brings me closer to that way. That's the measurement they want me to write down, or I want you to write down the calculation. Your head's spinning. Yeah, it's because I started explaining a whole nother way to do it, but this way is a little easier. So just take number 8, subtract 3/4 of an inch, and write it down for number 11. Is that easier? Okay, yeah. So 8 minus 3/4 of an inch, number 8's measurement minus 3/4 of an inch equals number 11. Okay. All right, your last one for your front. All right, so this one right here we just did for number 11 is right here. It's also, you know, right here. I just moved it over there so it would stay out of the way. So this is the dart placement. Okay, so it's this amount here minus 3/4 of an inch gets you number 11. Okay. And then, like I said, we can always adjust these things, because when we cut and sew your block and you try it on, that's the moment that you can move things. And we'll talk about how to move the dart and everything. And if you need to move the point, if you need to move just the legs of the dart, you know, there's things like that. But you do definitely need to do it properly so that you get the grain lines of the dart and the dart legs are balanced. One dart leg isn't longer than the other. All right. Last measurement for the front is the waist arc, and basically it's just center front juncture right here to your side seam here. So you have all these things now kind of on your dress form here, or on your body. Mine's about 6 3/8. That is this right here, center front waist to your side seam. That's number 12. Let's see how you guys doing on Twitch. Okay. All right. Any questions about the front? You should have 12 measurements now. You are going to need some of them for the back. Where's my back? A few less too. You guys ready for the back? All right. So my back, let's see here. Let's see. Let me, we're going to look at, we're going to need this one here. So let's make sure I can see that. That is the armhole depth right there. And then I'm going to mark the center back right now. right here. Center back neck. Remember, you still have your string around your neck, right? You didn't get rid of it. There's just no easy way to draw this on here. Okay. All right, so see, this is exactly what I'm talking about. My measurements are making you feel like a giant. Really? Oh, I know, for this dress form. Yeah, it's a size 5, you guys. It's a teenager. Yeah, this is like half my size. I don't even know if this would fit my daughter. She's pretty small. Okay. It's just a number. That's what I've learned with measurements. It's just a number. I have to actually be careful because when I talk with people about measurements, I really don't have any judgment on numbers at all, because I have seen 3 different women side by side all measure the exact same thing and look drastically different from each other and be about the same height. But if you see women of different height next to each other and see their measurements, and then you see how similar they are, or weights, when you see 4 people that weigh the same, the difference in how they look is so drastic that I don't have any weirdness about sizing anymore or judging. It's just a number to me. So, hi Brown Sugar, how's it going? Daphne, right? Yeah, exactly, Megan. Yeah, I mean, it's just really different. So for me, it's just a number. I can tell you lots of stories when I would have fit models, which aren't models that you take photographs of. They're models that measure what your size chart measures, and you have them come in and you have them try on the garments, and you would say, okay, we need to try the extra, extra small and the extra, extra large and the medium or something. And you have people come in with those measurements, and they want to correct you on their measurements because they are embarrassed about one of them. And I'm talking about, like, I was measuring athletes and they still had that feeling of not measuring up literally. So it is really interesting. Like, I think it just takes experience and being around it, that it's just a number. That's why I say we're all perfect. And so once you have your garment that fits you, you're going to feel like $1 million, you know? Is $1 million enough anymore, though? I don't know. It's plenty to me. Okay, so we're going to move to the back. But look, I did that exact thing I was telling you about, or I measured. My little drawing is on the left back right there. But when we go to draft our block, we're going to be drafting this side, okay? I'm aware of that. I'm just now aware that I did that, so that's kind of funny. So I'm going to measure on this side because we have all of our markings here, so I can kind of see where I'm going with right here, okay? All right, so the first one is your high point at the shoulder, and you're going to do the same thing we did on the front for number 1, sorry. I always call it number 2. This one right here. But you're going to do it on the back. You already have your waistline marked. You already have your high pointed shoulder marked right there. Find that spot and go straight down parallel to your center back. Mine is 16 3/8. It's a little bigger than the front. And also, don't start comparing your back measurements to your front measurements and think anything's wrong, okay? Yeah, right, Rachel? Exactly. Yeah, I think the more time you spend in it, you start realizing you just need the information, right? Oh, really? That's interesting, Heather. I haven't. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, you guys, people like him hire people like me. That's how that works. I've worked with designers. I feel like being a pattern drafter and the designer, the one doing the work, is like a backup singer, you know, or the domestique. You know what a domestique is in bike racing? The one who carries the guy to the top. We don't want to be out in the limelight. We're just there to like make it happen. So yeah, there's a team behind so many folks, but so many designers actually do a lot of their own draping. They start with draping. Draping is really kind of their gateway. They really love the physical sculptural ability of the fabric on the dress form. So, all right, so we have our number 13 measurement. And that is your high pointed shoulder right here on the, doesn't matter what side, that right there, number 13. All right. Number 2, you can we fill in from number 1. Mine was 14 inches. And that is the cross shoulder measurement that we already took right here. Okay. And then we just did our number 13. This is my big version, so that's why I'm trying to do both here. So we just did number 13 and number 2 we carried from the front. Oh, it just premiered. I'm gonna check it out. I really love the one about Itzhak Mizrahi that came out a long time ago. It's really good. It's like one of the first fashion documentaries I ever saw. I was really nervous to watch it. I thought it was actually going to be really frustrating, and it was really good. All right, so number 14. It's the center back length. We are pros now. We know what that is, right? It's this one right here from the neck juncture to the waist, right here. Mine's 15.5. So I'm going to draft my block to fit this dress form, so that we can fit her and go through all the parts of that. So this is the one we just did, center back neck juncture to the waist juncture, right there. And that is number 14. Number 15, shoulder slope angle, and it's that same one we do across the body. So you're gonna go from your outer shoulder mark here. I mean, I feel like there's like, you know, this is forward, right? It does feel like I'm kind of going over the curve of the shoulder. Your line might, I hope it's not further back, but it does on this dress form feel like I'm kind of wrapping towards the front. But I would not want this shoulder line to be toward the back. All right, so I get 15 3/4. Oh, really, Heather? Exactly. The camera's not adding 10 pounds. No, she's tiny. The person, I can't remember who it was that gave it to me, but I didn't want it. Yeah, mine's a preteen. Okay, so I just did this one. Outer shoulder to the center, front waist. I just did it from here to here. Here to here. So this is the one. Okay. Yeah, mine is a preteen. I didn't want to offend the person by not taking it. I think it was my uncle. Because to be honest, like a wolf dress form is like the pinnacle of dress forms. This is old. This one is, oh, it doesn't have the, usually the year is right here. Oh, this one's from 1978. The year's actually right here across her legs. Yeah, she should be, yeah, she's collapsible. This is what collapsible form does. So you can collapse the shoulders to get a, like a fitted garment over her, because she can't go like this. Because when you raise your arms up, it narrows your shoulders. So if you ever buy a used dress form and you need that component, you should check to make sure that it works. Because sometimes one side doesn't. It's usually this one, because this is the one side that gets used the most. But that one will. And that's sometimes enough. So, yeah. Hey, Heather, she's younger than me. Be careful. She's a preteen old lady. Yeah, so she's pretty small, but and you know, like, she might not even be fully grown in her height. So that is also why I say don't think about my measurements. All right, so where are we at? We're on number 16, back neck. So your center back neck to the shoulder. And it's funny. Yeah, we do measure this part here. All right. Your center back neck to the shoulder. Really? Do I really have you measure that? Huh. I mean, it's flatter, so it can be useful. I don't know why I'm doubting this now. But you're going to measure along that line there from your center back neck to your shoulder. Mine says 3 1/8. So we don't do this for the front, and there's a reason why we don't do it for the front. So don't worry about it. I know it's not there. So we just did this one right here. Center back neck to the shoulder. The high pointed shoulder. HPS. I know, Heather. I'm just teasing you. I actually saw the funniness of your comment because she's an old lady and she's a preteen. It's kind of weird. My first wolf dress form was from 1956, you guys. And she measured, how was it? She was a perfect example of how we have adopted vanity sizing. It was kind of funny. So, I can't remember now how it was, but it was so confusing. I think she said size 8, but she said size 10, and she measured today's size 6. That's what it was. So she said size 10 right here. She said it right here. Her name was Zola. And usually when you get a dress form, they're already named. I've never gotten to name a dress form. Can you believe that? Over 30 years in this industry, I've never gotten to name a dress form. Someday it'll happen. You can't really see it on there, but someone named her Stella. So, and graffitied all over her, which is such a shame. All right, so that was number 16, your back neck measurement. All right, so now we're going to do your waist arc, which is your center back waist to the side seam right here, okay? And you're going to subtract 1/4 inch from this measurement. So find the measurement from the center back waist to the side seam. Mine is 5 3/4, and then we're going to subtract 1/4 inch. Did I say 5 3/4? Yeah, 5 1/2. You might even want to put a little like check mark next to your minus symbol right there so that you know later on that you did that. Yeah, right, Louise? Exactly. You can't, oh really? Yeah, Rachel, yeah. I've thought about doing that, but oh my gosh, she has a long way to go. All right, so that was number 17. Right here, center back waist to the side seam, minus 1/4 inch, all right? And put a little check mark so you remember that you did that. And you might want to do that on that one, we did for the front. We added 1/4. Did I remember to do that on the waist arc? Center front to side seam plus 1/4 inch? I don't think I did that, you guys. Did I do that one right there? Did I add like 1/4? Ooh, let's go check. I don't feel like I did. Six 1/4. No, I didn't. Okay. So let's change that. Okay, so on that front measurement, I'm going back to the front on the very last one, waist arc, center front to side seam plus 1/4. I forgot to do that. I did it on this one and I did it on those. So having that check mark reminds you, like the way I look at it, like when I was younger, I wouldn't forget something like that. Now, I just don't hold on to stuff that I don't really feel like is I just trust, you know. But there's certain things, I don't want to have to try and remember those things. So just put a little check mark as a little gift to future you, okay? All right, number 18, dart placement, half bust span minus 3/4 inch. So it's the exact same thing as we did on the front. But you're going to use the measurement, half the bust span minus 3/4 inch. Use your measurement from number 11. I could have said that right there. Use number 11. And mine is 2 3/4 inch. 2 3/4 inch. Did I just say that right? This is number 18. And it's not drawn on here because you don't actually take the measurement. But the number that you got for number 11, you're going to use in the spot for number 18. Okay? Use number 11. Yeah, mom brain, right? I remember those months after having my child that my brain was different. Doing pattern drafting got harder. It's been different ever since. I don't want to talk about it. Okay. So did y'all catch that? Number 18, you're going to use the measurement that you got in number 11 for that. All right. And then number 10 is the number 10 from the front, your side length, your armhole to your waist. So it's right here. Like, yeah, I didn't have to put them here, but it's just handy when we do our block that you have all the measurements that you actually need on this one page. You don't have to flip between too many pages. It's already confusing enough. You know what I mean? So I feel like making it as easy as possible. Just making sure no one's asking any questions on Twitch there. All right. All right. So we just did number 10. And that we took from number 10 from the front. All right. And now we're on number 19, back arc, center back to bottom of the armhole. And so this measurement is going to follow this line right here. So line up your tape measure on the center back here, and you're going to find this measurement here to the bottom of the armhole. Mine is 8 1/4. And then you're going to subtract 1/4 inch. Don't forget that. So number 19, measure across the back from center back, this is your center back to your side seam under your arm. And then you're going to take off 1/4 inch. Okay, and that's your back arc. That's number 19. Last one, number 20. Cross the back, center back to the mid of the armhole. So right here between your shoulder point and this armhole depth, you're going to find the middle of your armhole here. If you would like to measure this spot and mark it on there, so mine would be 3 1/4. Go for it. Okay. Right here. So that's the halfway point between those two spots. The high point at shoulder and the armhole depth. I just found the halfway point. I feel like you could even do it a little lower if you want that fullest amount. It's not going to make much of a difference though. So you also need to decide about where that armhole is, like that. Ooh, I just drew on my dress form. Oops. You're going to take this measurement here, 6 1/4, maybe a little less. 6 1/4 right there. Okay. And that is your number 20. So you're going to find this midway point between your high point of shoulder and your armhole depth. And then on that spot right there, straight across to your center back, you need that measurement there. That measurement right there, I feel like is so underrated. It's kind of that like the across shoulder, and we talk about how the back doesn't fit very well, especially for me. The backs of things fit worse than the fronts of things. And I'm always fighting that pillowcase back look. And I think it's just because my back goes in and I have a belly in the front, right? So it's not only does my back waist kind of go in, maybe I'm sway backed or something, the front is pulling the garment towards the front of the body, right? So then it makes it pool or bag right there, you know? So getting that fit across the back is really important. And that's why darts are really great as well. Because then you could make your back as big as you need for the upper back and then taper with your darts. Your darts are going to be really necessary. And a lot of garments don't have darts on the back. It's a time and cost saving thing. And also they're like, maybe it'll fit more people if we make it a little bigger back there, you know? So there's just that kind of loosey-goosiness happening. There's lots of different reasons, but you don't have to do that. I mean, when you look at any of the patterns that fit, say, a curvy gal, the ones that look really amazing are the ones that have the most seams because they fit that person, right? They go in where it needs to go in and out where it needs to go out and releases that kind of fullness that you need. And it just fits so great. I mean, it's not to say that a nice loose-fitting garment doesn't look amazing as well, but there is something to be said about adding the structure to make the garment fit the best. That's the only way you can do that is by adding darts and seams. So, all right, so I think we have all our measurements. How do you guys feel about that? Did anyone follow along and do their measurements? I'm curious. I know you guys probably want to do it at your own leisure and everything. It's okay if you didn't follow along. I know it was a lot to take in. But I'm just curious if anyone did. Because if you have any questions, let me know. So tomorrow we're going to start drafting our block. And if you're a Patreon subscriber, I uploaded the document that I'm going to be following for you. You're sewing, Heather? Awesome. You think that's why you like the Kielo? Because the wrap kind of cinches it in, huh? Right? That's the one I made. I can't remember. For those of you who do get that document and print it out and look at it, please don't look at it and go, oh my God. Like I say in the instructions, we're going to just look at each step and tune out the rest. It has back darts. Yeah, I mean, back darts are really great. And you'll see like the block we're going to draft for the back, it looks like, you know, this. It has a shoulder dart and a waist dart. And we'll probably, you know, get rid of that shoulder dart. But it is a really nice place to know where your princess line is. And there is the need for a little bit of shaping right there. I mean, look at how much this one flattens out. Here's the seam, right? So let's see if I can illustrate really easily. You know, if this is the seam, look how, you know, flat that is up there. Give me a pen. There we go. So when you think about the shoulder, it's very flat up here, and this is a little bit forward, right? So this little spot right here, this is a lot right here to shape around. You can't expect this curve and this curve to accommodate all that right there. This is it's like the bust, right? You have this fullness here. It's the same here. You have fullness on the back. And then it flattens out right here. And you are flatter back here because you don't have a bosom. But at the same time, you do go in and go out at your hips. So there's a lot of shaping going on there. I really like things with back darts. I look for it. The reason I started this with you guys originally was because I want my basic block to fit me better because our size changes. So our size changes, and we're asymmetrical, and you know, we get softer. I've gotten a lot softer in the last year myself. So I wanted to update my basic bodice block to reflect where I'm at right now. Because I really just can't find the top I want out there. I've always had this certain top I really, really, really love, and no one ever makes it. And it is a little bit of a classic bodice style, and we'll be able to make that with our block. And it just fits so good. It's great, you know? Right, Heather? Exactly. That's awesome, Beverly. I thought the Granville was the camp shirt. Yeah, isn't that the camp shirt? That's right. It does have the, because that's what I like. I like a very classic looking basic bodice block with a little collar. I like the darts. I like it to kind of go just below. You know, like the Archer button up is such a great shirt, but it's pretty loose. You know, it's more boxy in shape, and I like something, for lack of a better word, more feminine. But it's more that I just like it to be fitted. It's not too campy. I love that word, campy. All right, well, yeah, the Granville comes up a lot. Nancy, really? Oh, I'm sorry. I've been eating so much sugar lately between Halloween and just being like wanting to, that my nails are breaking and my skin's all irritated. It's those boxing in the Archer. That's what I thought. So I'm pretty nervous about doing this basic block because I am a little worried that some of you may, you know, get frustrated by part of the process. This is advanced pattern drafting, you guys. It's pretty advanced. It's like the first thing you start off doing in college, but then you spend the entire time in design school dealing with it. And if you don't really get it right in the beginning, it's kind of frustrating. So relax and spend time with it. So my plan right now is tomorrow we're going to draft the front, and I'm hoping that we're going to get, it's not going to take like hours, you know. I'm hoping like it's like a 2-hour thing with, you know, going at the pace we did today. And then I'm going to try and make sure that it's ready to cut out so that when you do the back, it's ready to cut out. And then you can sew it together. And so then I want you guys to be able to take your time, draft this block. I know that's the holidays. You may have to put some of the sewing aside and work on this if you want to like kind of stay up to date with where we're at. But we're not going to talk about it again. I mean, you can ask questions and stuff, not until mid-December. So you have time, like you have a month to do this. And we're only doing the front and the back. And then we'll hopefully, for 1 week in December, we'll talk about how it went for you, how it's fitting, what issues you're having, how to adjust things. And then we're also going to draft the sleeve. We may have to wait. We may just spend that time fitting things, and then we'll work on our sleeve later. The holidays are going to kind of push us back a little bit. We're sewing a coat the week after we do the bodice, revisiting this bodice draft, and then the first week we're going to do gift sewing. So if you get all your gift sewing done that week, then you can spend time on you, okay? That's awesome, Beverly. That's great. That's great. That's great. Yeah, maybe I need that. Yeah, so that's my plan. So you're going to have some time to look at how your block is, and maybe we can stream once the week of like Thanksgiving, and you can ask questions if you're needing it. We'll see. So, oh, no worries, Olivia. Yeah, you're at work. You naughty person, you. Did I? So Heather, so far for sure we're doing this bias apron because Hearts Heard Us and is sending it to us. We're going to do that. And then I have kind of a long list, and I think next week we're going to really refine the list. So if you guys have any ideas, please keep emailing them to me. Was it Lisa or Alicia who sent me something in the something by email? What the heck was it? I think it was a zip pouch. You're welcome, Saskia. It's probably bedtime for you, huh? I can't remember. I think it was a zip pouch of some sort. The apron is Decades of Style. I think they call it the Bias Cut apron, Louise. I'm not sure, but it's by Decades of Style. And they said it's just a great apron, so I haven't even looked at it yet. They're sending a box today, so we'll see. And then we're going to definitely do some like oven mitts, finger oven mitts. And then, where's my, I have a long list, Heather. I'm still, anybody has ideas, just send them to me, and then we're going to kind of refine it next week, because next week we're sewing a lot of things next week. Yeah. Yeah, so next week we're sewing 2 kids' clothes and my jammy top. Because I need my jammies, man. So let's see. Oh, potluck dish carrier was one of them. So you don't have to do all of them. You can just do some of them. But I think I'm going to try and stream 5 days in a row. Whew, I hope I can prep all that. It'll be fun, though. I'm going to do some gift sewing myself. All right, cool. Well, so like I said, if you guys want the written instructions on how to draft the bodice that I'm going to be following starting tomorrow, that's for the Patreon subscribers. Anyone can subscribe. You can subscribe for as low as $5 a month, and you can end it after the first month. That's totally fine. I understand that. And I'm only giving it to the Patreon subscribers. So if you are one of those, it's already there. I posted it right before I went live. And same with the measurement chart, it's there too, so you don't have to go to the website if you don't want. So, a tea cozy. I'm more of a like, I don't eat ice cream out of the pint, but I know people like to hold their pint of ice cream with like a sleeve around it. Well, that's so dangerous. A tea cozy for like, that would be cute. Yeah, you're welcome, Nancy. So I hope you guys... do this and follow along. I'm putting a lot of effort into this. I could obviously put a ton more. Is it, Elaine? Awesome. Ooh, I'm so exciting. But you know, for the most part, this is a free tutorial. I've never taught pattern drafting like this before, so this is going to be a good process for me as well. I'm looking forward to it. And what I really want from this, you guys, is for us to be able to draft patterns. So if you want to be able to draft patterns, you can do it with your block. So please do your block so that you can draft along, because I'll be able to do really, like that would be really easy to do that. Like a lot easier than saying, oh, let's modify this pattern or copy this pattern. When we have our block, I can say, all right, we're going to do sleeves 6 ways today, and I'll show you how to draft your sleeve. Take your block, turn it into that. Here's 6 collars. This is how you add collars to your neckline. This is how you take your bodice and do this. Turn it into a dress. Turn it into an archer button-up type of shirt, you know? So, yeah, no worries, Louise. You don't have to. You don't have to. But I think it's going to be, I'm going to learn a lot from doing this with you guys. So, I just love that 13 people have already liked this video. I never see that while I'm streaming, but that's pretty fun. Oh, I can see there's 41 of you watching right now. Maybe I should stay on this page. It's more informative than the other one I'm getting, huh? I'm glad you guys are here. Thanks for joining. If you're new here, you can check out my website, soso.live, and you can see all the projects we've made. And because YouTube's really difficult to navigate, on there it's a little easier because it's very concise. I just put like the name of the project, what size I made, what fabric I used, any modifications I did, and my notes. But then all the links to all the videos for that project are right there. So you don't have to like hunt around on YouTube for part 1, part 2, and the cutting. It's all right there. Cutting, part 1, part 2, right there, linked directly. Much easier to deal with. And it's just in the videos and garments tab on the website. I stream live here Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturday at 11 a.m. Pacific. Usually today we're cutting something out, and then Thursday we're sewing it, and Saturday we're finishing it. Sometimes I will cut 2 things out today, so 1 on Thursday, 1 on Saturday. That's what we'll be doing next week. So, and I'm always looking for ideas of things to sew, or sponsors. If you have a fabric store or a pattern company, maybe you're friends with or friendly with, and they need samples, I do that for them for free. They can send me the fabric, send me the pattern, everything they need. We cut and sew it here, and then I send them the garment or whatever it is that we made, the bag, and they get to keep it. Because I don't need, 100 new things a year. So I'm always looking for content. There you go, Louise. Yeah, I mean, you can start with another pattern. If you can find like a classic fitted bodice, you can start with that. And, to be fair, you guys, there are some amazing content creators out there, like, and people offering classes on this, like Blueprint and Creative Bug. You can go there. If you do a quick search on, bodice block or bodice sloper patterns, you can buy them on Etsy. I saw it. You are just going to have to fit it. So skip the line, get that, and then you can fit it with us later if you want. You could totally do that. I don't know how much they are. I don't know any of the companies I saw, and all of them were new to me. I don't know how good they are, but it's an option if you want to give it a go. So there's a lot of great things out there. All right, well, I'm really excited to do this. It's going to be really fun. And let me know if you have any questions. Like I said, if you want the measurement form from today, this is linked. Here, I'll link it again for you guys. Right here. So that is the link to the project that we're doing. And in that description, I know it's I'm kind of wordy sometimes. There is a document called My Measurements. Just click that. It's 3 pages long, and this is what you get. And then you can follow along with what we did today. So that's free. It's totally free. All that's free. So just go for it. So thanks, you guys. I appreciate it. I was really nervous about this. This one's the easy part. Tomorrow I'm a little like, eh. But you guys will be nice to me, right? All right. What else? Oh. If you're following along tomorrow, you need, most helpful would be a French curve. I know my French curve it's seen better days, but it's sentimental, so I don't want to hear it. All right. Like, I've had this since college. It's taped together. It's pretty bad. It's even broken. The same thing, my hip curve, that's paint from college right there, So this is a hip curve, and this is a French curve. You don't need these, but they are really helpful. You'll need a ruler. I use the see-through 2-inch by 18-inch ruler. I really like it. You just need to make sure you have your increments that you're going to be measuring in. And then you're going to need some paper, big sheets of paper for each one, pencil, an eraser, and your measurements that you took today. And that's about it. But just make sure you have a few of those things. You don't have to have these rulers. I've obviously gotten my money's worth, although, I'm sure I spent $500 on each of these rulers in my college. It wasn't cheap. But hey, I've gotten my money's out of it now. Someone stole my other one. Oh, someone stole one of my things. I can't remember what it was. I remember they really coveted it. It's one of my rulers. But I think it was the L square. And to be honest, the L squares, they're never square. Never. They're never square. I don't know what it is about those dumb L squares, but they're never square. So they got what they deserve. So, all right, you guys. Hasta mañana, iguanas. I'll see you tomorrow. Take your measurements. You got this. Okay? Do the best you can. Even if you just do your front and then you draft your front tomorrow and then do your back the next day. I mean, if you really want to go through it that way, go for it. But I would just take your last few measurements of your back while you're there. Do your best you can, All right? Cool. Where's my mouse? Here it is. I'll see you guys tomorrow. And if you are new here, make sure you subscribe. I'm on YouTube and Twitch live. And if you're on YouTube, you need to create what's called a channel to be able to talk with us. And we love it when you do. You don't have to start posting videos. Don't worry. I know it's nerve-wracking. Trust me. And then there's a little bell. When you click that bell, it'll let you know when I'm live. And I usually go live a couple minutes before I start. I have Instagram, and that tells you the schedule. And you can kind of see every Tuesday I'll post the schedule for the week there. And I'll also say, today I'm going live, I'm doing this. So that'll be a good reminder. And it's so live. All my things are so live. So that's easy. Let's see what else. If you guys want to support me, there's links in the description. But if you want the how-tos, they're only going to be on Patreon. So, oh, and all of you, I sent the link. Like I sent you a code. All the people who sent me a donation or a Patreon subscription, by the week I launched that pincushion pattern, I sent you a code. You have through November to redeem it. And I think most of you have, but there's probably like 15 people that maybe it went to their spam folder. Check your spam folder and download your pincushion if you want it. If you don't want it, don't worry about it, but you have through November. So I'm sure I'll let you know the code again if you want it afterward. So I just wanted to remind you. And just then save it on your computer so you have it forever. All right, you guys. Bye. I'll see you tomorrow. I'm looking forward to it. We got this, right?